wherever your attention goes, the energy flows. Okay, so if we put our attention on our inadequacies, where we are lacking, so that everything around us will show us what you are lacking at, right? So instead, if we put our attention on something which we are good at, okay, so everything will, you will have so many opportunities to grow that thing in life. So you have to not only hear the words that the child is saying, find out the meaning behind that, but also, observe that how the children were like, probably making an eye contact or not making an eye contact.
I feel guilty every time I have to leave my child at daycare. I worry that I'm not there for them and that they might feel abandoned. I worry that I'm not giving them the attention and care they need. I feel guilty about taking time for myself. It is common for mothers to feel guilty about leaving their children alone or making decisions that might not be in their child's best interest. Remember that you're not alone if you're struggling with feelings of guilt that are overwhelming. Today, we will be talking about how mothers can cope with guilt. Hi, I'm Urvashi Bisht, head psychologist at Hey and a practicing psychotherapist with over 5 years of experience. We have today with us Dr. Mona Gujral. She's an ICF certified parenting coach, NLP master practitioner, and subconscious reprogramming coach. Dr. Mona Gujral is the author of #1 best-selling book on Amazon, Raising Mindful Parent, where she talks about the basics of mindful parenting in the present times. So happy to have you here, Dr. Mona, with us to have this interaction.
Thank you so much, Urvashi. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
What are some common sources of guilt for mothers? You must have come across this very often with your clients. So what are these common sources that mothers talk about, the guilt they are experiencing?
So mother's guilt, everything that you spoke about in the introduction, mothers feel guilty about each and everything that they're doing for the child. So, remember, this is the child, whatever child you have, and the mother that you are to the child, it is for the first time. So even if it is your second child, but the children are very different from each other. So whatever you're doing from one child is completely different, is completely new as an experience for you and the child. So you feel guilty about each and everything, whether probably you are a little late in feeding them, you're a little late, the diaper was soiled and you were a little late in changing the diaper, you have to leave your child with somebody else and go to work, or you have to tend to your own some personal work, and you're leaving the child. Your child was without a when you see your child in the morning and the child is sleeping without a blanket, you feel guilty about that. Oh, my child was, yeah, without a blanket. So we mothers feel guilty about each and everything which happens with the child. So nowadays we see that the society and the social media are putting an additional pressure on mothers, and which is actually causing to the guilt even more. So these are so many things which are causing guilt in the mothers. So yes, but the basic point is, why guilt? Because they care too much and they love the child too much.
And how can mothers manage these feelings about not spending enough time? We are talking here about both working and not working women, because they are expected to fulfill so many roles. How do they deal with this feeling of guilt? What would we suggest?
So spending time with your child, it is like, whatever time you're spending with the child has to be there has to be some value in the time. Okay, it doesn't matter, for example, a mother who's staying at home the whole day, she's in front of the children 24/7, but she's not engaging with the child effectively. She's not engaging with the child in a very positive manner or in a very uplifting manner. So there's no point that she's just hanging around in the house with the children, right? So working mothers, yes, they do have a guilt that, I've left my child at home, and the whole day my child is alone, I'm away.
Yeah.
But what I tell all my clients is that whatever time you're spending with the child has to be a quality time. It has to be have a lot of value, packed with value. When you're with the child, it has to be without your phone, and you have to be 100% engaged with the child. Okay, so whatever your verbal, the non-verbal communication, the verbal communication which the child is saying has to reach you 100%. So you have to not only hear the words that the child is saying, find out the meaning behind that, but also observe that how the children were like, probably making an eye contact or not making an eye contact. whether their body language was open or whether their body language was closed. So you have to be aware and in tuned with all these little things, the non-verbal part of the communication, so that you
Right.
know what your child is going through. So even if 15 minutes, 4 times a day, you're taking out the time, but
Right.
that 15 minute has to be like 100% concentrated on the child and not somewhere else. One tip I would give is, make that time very fun loving. Be very funny with the child. Be very light with the child. Don't do some very heavy stuff with the children when you're trying to manage bond with the child. Make it little fun, because the children connect more if there is a lot of laughter and there is a lot of fun that the parent is bringing along.
Right, because
So
I
I
think
think that should help with the guilt.
parents usually are like, we have to teach them something, so they'll sit with their
Yes.
lesson and start teaching.
So quality time is not for teaching. Quality time is just for bonding with your child. Because once you're bonded with the child, everything will flow. Whatever you want to give them, the heavy values, everything will flow to them very easily. But the quality time is mostly for bonding with the children.
And how can mothers cope with the pressure to be a perfect mother? Because I think this notion is all around family members, the way it is presented on social media, anywhere, everybody wants to
Hmm.
be a perfect mother, in spite of
Hmm.
so many responsibilities onto them physically, mentally, emotionally. How do they deal with this perception of a perfect mother?
So I really need to bust this myth that there's no perfect mother. So just a few days back, I had posted on Instagram that the biggest myth of parenting is being a perfect parent and having a perfect child. So that word perfection is something like, we just put it, and how can something be perfect? For me, the definition of perfection is something else, and for you, the definition of perfection would be something else. So
Right.
same way, if I consider myself that, if I do these 3 4 things with my child, I'm a perfect mom. But somebody else would be like, no, if I do these 4 5 6 things with my child, I'm a perfect mom. So the definition of perfection is like very different from subjective and very different for each and every person. So please, there is no perfect mother. The only thing that you should strive for is be a happy mother and have a happy child. At the end of the day, we are all progressing. So something, yesterday, if I was talking to my child in a certain way, today I will have more insight and I will improve on that and talk to my child in a better way. So we are
Right.
all progressing every day, we are all growing every day. So that there's nothing like progression, perfection, but yes, there is growth, and there is working towards to be a better self. So
Right.
work towards being a better mom, work towards having a better child. And if you want to aim for something, it should be happy child and a happy mom. No perfect child, no perfect mom. It should be, at the end of the day, you should be happy fulfilling all your responsibilities. You have so many things, as you said, you have so many responsibilities to fulfill, so many rules to do. So you should be happy doing everything, not having that, oh my God, I have to be perfect in doing this. I have to be perfect in doing this, and I will, probably neglect myself or neglect some other work, but because I have to be a perfect mom. So no, there's nothing like perfection, but yes, striving to be the best, striving to be a better version of ourselves than what we were yesterday. So that should be the goal. And being a happy mother should be your goal rather than a perfect mother.
I'm sure to all the mothers watching, this is going to be a sense of relief to know that, there is no need for us to be perfect, but probably just be happy with the child. And so,
Yeah.
adding, how can mothers avoid comparing themselves to other mothers? I know we have talked about it, we have covered there is a notion of perfect mother, but every mother, as you said, has a different experience, journeys, it's subjective. But when we interact, even if it's in a group, all the mothers sit and talk about this is their parenting style, this is how they interact with their child, or this is what we taught. And it's very normal to have this feeling, oh, how come they taught the child this and I was unable to? How do we deal with this feeling? How do we look at it from a different lens?
So, what I would say is, instead of focusing on what you're not good at, focus on what you're good at, right? Focus on, there are certain, everybody, all of us are born with certain qualities. And when we are talking about the parenting, a certain mother is able to tell her child to behave very well and be very submissive in, social gatherings, but at the same time the other mom, she is able to teach her child to be confident and talk confidently to others, to strangers, when they are meeting in a social gathering. So
Right.
both the mothers are trying to do their best at their own, with their own understanding. So instead of focusing on that, that lady is doing like that and that lady is doing like that, see how you can be of value to your child. What can you offer to your child? Because we all have our own qualities. So,
Right.
there is a Paramahansa Yogananda ji says, there is a quote that wherever your attention goes, the energy flows. Okay, so if we put our attention on our inadequacies, where we are lacking, so that everything around us will show us what you are lacking at, right? So instead, if we put our attention on something which we are good at, okay, so everything will, you will have so many opportunities to grow that thing in life, right? Whatever qualities you have, whatever qualities you can offer to your child, make that grow, because other things can be, outsourced from somewhere, but that basic quality, which you have, make that grow, and offer that to your child when your child needs that, because every child is very different. Somebody's child is submissive, somebody's child is confident. Your child probably, can go and sing very well in the gathering, in a social gathering, which the other children cannot. So instead of just comparing, oh, I wish I could have done that, I wish I could have done that, it's better what you are good at, grow that.
Right. So I think to conclude this conversation, something for mothers to take back is that how can mothers seek help if they are struggling with overwhelming feelings of guilt or other mental health issues?
Stop comparing yourself to everybody around, especially on the social media, because for a young mother, postpartum depression is a very big reality these days. Okay, postpartum depression is a very big thing. But when you see on social media, so there's the lady who's just given birth and she's immaculately dressed and have makeup and she's, going around doing work, and we are like, oh my god, I'm sitting in depression and look at her.
Right.
Right? Stop comparing yourself. What is seen in the social media or in advertisements or everything, that is all not true. So be a realistic person. What is happening to you is your reality. What you are going through right now with some kind of a depression or anxiety issue or some kind of mental health issue is your reality. Accept that, be aware of that, and then move ahead with your children, that how I can make, this is the cards which have been dealt with to me. Okay, so now how I am going to make good use of it, how I'm going to do, probably seek help from the family, that I need help for this particular time. Since I'm, till the time I gain myself back, I need help from the family. Ask that. Seek help from the professionals, that, your mental health is not okay. So I need help to be able to get back to my family, to be able to get back to my child. I need help. So get every kind of help. So, deal with that situation, what you're having right now. Be aware of it, accept it, talk about it, and then take help. Everybody from help from wherever you can, to go through that time, so that, you can be your best self in the future.
Right.
So do not be ashamed. Basically, accepting and being aware and not being ashamed are probably these in the.
I think to add, it puts a lot of pressure when people keep saying, now you're a mother, you can't be acting this way, you can't be complaining about these things.
Yes,
You're such a
yes.
strong woman that you have given birth to a child. There's this constant pressure that you
Mhm.
have to be strong and you are
It
strong.
is. It is.
And
I
that,
don't know why. That's what I said. Remember that you are a human. Okay,
yeah,
you are a mother, but you are still a human. You did not get the superpowers just by becoming a mother. You are still a human. So you have to accept that you are a human, and these things can happen. So I
right.
have to deal with it. So it's okay. It happened to me. That's okay. I will deal with it.
It was
So
very insightful. I think a lot to take back from the conversation.
thank you.
Very fun to interact with you. I am glad that through this interview, I got an opportunity to connect with you and learn a little from you. Hopefully, looking forward to meet you again.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much, Urvashi. It was a very nice conversation, and the questions which you put up are like really, I think it will help the general people a lot.